What's up, guys? Matty Matt here, and I don't know. I felt like the need to make this video um, to just. I know that I'm alive for a reason, right? And you know, to even say guided isn't even the word. Like I know that you know I'm supposed to be doing something, or else I would be dead. I should have been dead so many times, right? If I didn't have a purpose, I would be dead. For me to end up where I live right now today and to see what I saw and to figure it out, I know that I have a purpose, right? And I know that people are trying to stop me. A lot of people, right? And I can't. you know, I believe that I'm alive for a reason, and the last job I let me tell you a little bit about Allentown Refrigerated Terminals, right? The last company I worked at was a refrigerated warehouse, and they called them. It was called Allentown Refrigerated Terminals. Maybe their like main office was in Allentown, but the Allentown Refrigerated Terminals that I worked at was located actually in like the sticks of Boyertown, right? Like out in the country in Boyertown. Which was good for me because I was living not too far from there, with my fiance at her mom's apartment at the time. And that's why I took the job, and much like every other job I've ever taken, I'm a hard worker, and I really almost to the point of being an obsessive worker, I guess sometimes. And there's never been a job that I can remember when I've been hired as a temp, even if that job wasn't supposed to be like hiring people onto the company. At the end of the season, they always found a spot for me. The job before this job, I was working at a place called Flag Zone, right? And they had like 100 people, and at the end of the season they hired me on as their employee out of like 100 people that worked there over the season. They chose me because when I take a job, I take a job. I'm not afraid to work, man. I feel like people spend more time trying to get out of work than actually doing the work, right? When I go to work, my purpose there is to get work done. And on top of that, I try to, do things, smart, like watch a maintenance guy when he comes to fix a machine, right? So the next time that machine breaks down, I don't have to call the maintenance guy. I can fix it myself, right? And a lot of times, at Allentown Refrigerated Terminals, it was the real simple fix that it seemed like nobody else was capable of just, and the maintenance guy had no problem showing you, oh, yeah, just adjust this magnet like this, do this like that, right? So because of that, I was, able to fix machines that, nobody else could fix and save them a ton of money, because without me, they were calling this outside maintenance guy, right? They loved me there. I had a key to open the place. Um, and I often was the first one in and the first one out. I had a key. I opened, I closed. It was either me or my buddy Jeff, right? And usually it was like we were together, right? So we would get there around the same time. And, maybe one of us might beat the other one by 5 minutes if we spent too much time at Wawa. But Jeff is still a good friend of mine. I haven't seen him in a while, but I love that guy, man. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he trashed me after I left. Let me find out, buddy. No, seriously, that company broke my heart, though, man. They really did because, I was so loyal to them. I knew that they were not paying me what I was supposed to get paid. And even after I got promoted, and it was like, oh, well, we'll talk about your raise, right? And she knew that there was going to be an issue because she had just gotten caught, right, with this other kid who was super religious, right? And she liked him, and he was like threatened to quit, and he was working in the deep freezer doing like the Jewish cold food stuff, and she just like didn't want to have to go in the freezer. I don't know what the deal was. I honestly think it's just because he had published this Christian book and prayed a lot. But you know, he's like, I want a $3 an hour raise, which would have put him like at the top of all the people working there, right? And so when his time came and this guy was still there, we were like, what the hell? There's no way she gave him a $3 an hour raise. He should be getting fired. He doesn't even do his job, right? Like, if I'm sorry, you know, at a production company, if it was my company, I would not have employed this individual, because the point of a production company is to produce, and he could not produce. And in fact, when the guy who owned the account that he often did all the work for, he was like, yo, he did not like this kid. He had him just putting labels on boxes and sealing them up because he was that bad of a worker, right? So, you know, he threatens to quit unless he gets a $3 an hour raise. We're like, see ya, right? But then the time comes and he's still there, right? So, like I said, we were always the last ones out anyway, right? And the lady who was in charge of the floor, her name was Donna, right? And she would leave her computer wide open. And this kid named Ethan, right, was like, I don't know. He went right on at John and opened up the payroll, and he realized that she had given him the $3 an hour raise, and now the kid who never worked overtime, who couldn't even do his own job, was getting paid more than people who'd been there 20 years. It was crazy, right? And she knew that I knew that, and I mean, I wasn't gonna demand what he was getting, although I should have, because I often did his job for him. And then what blew my mind about this kid, right, is like he wouldn't work overtime. 5 o'clock would come, he would be gone, right? The rest of us would work until the UPS or FedEx guy got there, because that's the last amount of product that can go out, right? So usually that was like 6:37, right? So, but by the time we got done, right, we would go out. It's like 7 o'clock. It's 2 hours later, right? And the kid who clocked out at 5 o'clock, who could have been in there helping us, is sitting in the parking lot in his car praying, right? And it felt like to me like it was like show, like he wanted people to see him out there praying, see how uber religious he was. And I'm like, what the? But yo, it worked. He got a $3 hour raise and was making more than people who were downstairs and knew how to drive every machine in that building. This kid couldn't even ride a pallet jack. That's crazy, right? So when I had this medical event, right, where I had run out to look for this chip that had broken out of the transponder of my key for my car the day before, I would have saved like $200 from the mobile locksmith. I ran out, but I had been in front of these jet turbines blowing freezing cold air for like 5 hours, and I ran out into 100-degree temperature into a hot parked vehicle that was parked directly in the sun, right? I got in, I started looking for it, and I guess the rapid change in temperature sent my body into a shock, right? And I just, next thing you know, everything went dizzy. I tried to get out. The closest witness said it looked like I had a seizure as I tried to get out of my vehicle. And all I remember is looking up in the sky, and it's blinking like a heart monitor. The ground opens up underneath me, and I start getting sucked down the straw. And I know if I can't stop myself from being sucked down the ground, I'm dead. And I couldn't do it. I tried with all my might. And just as like the last bit of strength went out of my body, the ground sealed up over top of my head, and the sky flashed one more time like a heart monitor, and finality, like I was dead. And that's what I got out of it. Boop, blackness, gone. I'm dead. At least in my mind, I was dead, right? And then it was like the end of Pink Floyd The Mall. Like I was riding a nuclear missile, right? And there was no one ready right where I was at. So closest witness, he said it looked like I had a seizure, right? I hit the ground, I flopped around like a dead fish, right? And then I was laying limp on my back. He said it looked like I was dead, right? But then out of nowhere, they heard a loud like a scream before they could even react and get to me. And I leapt off of my back. I landed on my feet, and I was running at a full trot towards the road, right? And I'm looking back to see what's chasing me, and all I see is concerned coworkers. I look down, I'm covered in mud and blood, and at first I didn't know what happened, right? And I had gotten promoted like a couple weeks before that, and this kid, man, he was out to get me. He was out for my blood, and he was out there. He saw it, and he saw blood, and he ran through the